You bury the dead. I also want to talk about the zombie design.
All practical.
Yeah. So,
It's a break into the houses.
Oh, it was fun.
Rage room kind of vibe, yeah.
There were a couple times, there was the one, well, it's also terrifying because you think, oh, we have maybe 2 chances at this, so every single thing has to go right. But the window smashing moment, I remember everyone gathering really excited for the that. But strangely enough, it's very intimate. Even filming in someone else's house, when you know that you're filming in someone else's house, it's incredibly intimate. And by virtue of what Ava is she is part of the body retrieval unit. She is trying to find people who have been either killed or somewhere in between by this event. Of course, the story is very intimate, but actually doing that is very intimate. You're seeing people's, of course, there are the props, and then you see people's real images. You see their real family photos. So that also, and because we had filmed in so many different houses, that also added a sort of tangible reality to the film, which is that these are people, and to Mark's point, these are people who are searching for answers. They don't know what they're going to find, but every person looking for bodies is hoping that they're going to find someone they love, and they're either going to find them alive or they're going to find them as a zombie. And how do you process that journey, and how do you process the end of the journey?
Riley develops empathy, or the audience develops empathy for Riley? Because if I was doing my job right, that's what I hoped would happen, was the audience would be a little confused. And you know, I'll wait to see what the audience response is. But I thought it was really important that it wasn't just, you know, here's this guy and he's the antagonist and he's the bad guy. And it's like, there's a really complicated sort of moral, psychological space that he's in. And you just, what happens is what happens. But they're also, you know, and then Ava's moving on, and it's just this like hectic thing that just took place. But also you're left wondering, like, could that have not happened like that? Maybe. But you know, it's just where everyone's at that time.
And for Ava, I found the most scary thing about the sequence we did together is Riley's grief is very palpable, and the desperation of him finding the answers is also understandable to Ava. They're going about things differently, but nothing is more terrifying than not thinking someone is the full antagonist. Thinking, I actually understand what it is you're doing and why you're doing it, but the situation that's occurring is still terrifying. It's a very confusing moment.
The best are the heroes of their own story, right?
That's right.
Completely blind. What was it like to ensure that We Bury the Dead stood out from the rest of the films that are in a similar genre?
Yeah, well, it was about being very specific and giving things a different nuance and what had been done and how can you make a zombie movie that can cut through all the other zombie movies. And, you know, there was original scripts of this that didn't even have zombies in them, but it was only when they started infiltrating the world of the film from a script level that the everything just started to sing a little better. And the situation that Ava finds herself in is then only complemented by the struggle of these zombies as well. So it came from a thematic point of view, and that was the only way I wanted to do it. Like does it service the story in a way I haven't seen before? And once I sort of cracked that code, it just elevated everything that was almost there on the page, but sprinkling them in and making them a part of it, and then how that just worked on a thematic level was just awesome.
Daisy, every character I've seen you play is so
It's interesting because it gives me a different approach to character. When I went back, because I had done 3 movies American, then when I went back to British, I thought, how do I do this? I can't remember how to do this. Because with accent work, I'm preparing in a slightly different way. But I always find accent work to be very revealing, because the way I do it is go through the whole script. We see what comes out, and a lot of the time it's just very helpful speaking it out loud anyway with a different person, and then sort of preparing week by week. But particularly in this, Ava is really the out-of-towner. She is in a situation that she actually shares with a lot of people in the film, but she has flown in to try and figure it out. And by virtue of her being an outsider and her country being responsible for this cataclysmic event, she is also shunned in some ways by the people who are there and find themselves blaming her in some ways for being.
Can you kind of tease us about how he fits in and what's going on in Australia right now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, Riley makes up the military component of Tasmania post pulse, post-apocalyptic situation. So they've got civilians down there, which was always odd to me that civilians have been brought into this.
Going back to that world now with your next Star Wars film, and you have films like We Bury the Dead and Clean Air where it's resting on your shoulders, you're going into Star Wars again with a brand new cast. So what does it feel like to kind of eventually go back to that world and be a leader without the Harrison Fords and marching in a new generation?
Yeah.
As far as all we know is that you're the only one